Hello, and welcome to WireMock Cloud Academy. Today, we'll look at how to work with XML request bodies when using WireMock Cloud's dynamic response templates. The XPath helper extracts values or subdocuments via an XPath expression from an XML string. Most commonly, this is used to extract values from the request bodies. Let's take a look at some examples. In this first example, take a look at extracting XML element text. We'll respond to a post at the v1/things endpoint. We'll respond with a 201 status code, a content type of text plain, and the following body. We'll be using our handlebar helpers with the XPath function, targeting the request body, and using two different XPaths, one a discrete and one a more generic with the double slash. We'll open up our test requester here and paste in our test body. Mark this as XML, make sure it's valid, and hit send. As a result, you can see that we're pulling back the text of the inner element. Let's move on to targeting and returning an XML element. This time, we'll respond to a /v2 things endpoint, and our dynamic response look like this. Again, using the handlebar helpers and the XPath function, we'll target the request body, and we're going to extract the inner element this time. And we'll again do this in two different ways, a discrete path and a more generic path. Come up to our test requester. We'll test this with an XML body again. We'll hit send. And here we can see we now have the XML element being returned to us. Our third example is extracting the XML element attributes. Here we have the /version3 things endpoint, similar as before. In this case, using handlebar helper XPath function, targeting the request body. And here we can see, again, using both methods, a more verbose and a more generic XPath. This time, though, we'll extract the attribute ID. Open up our test requester, send this again, and here we can see our ID is being pulled out of 789 in both cases. There's also a helper for SOAP XML built into WireMock Cloud. Here we have v4 of the /things endpoint. Notice that this is now handlebar helpers with a function of SOAP XPath targeting the request body. And we'll use this body here. And notice that we can successfully pull out the text of the test element. And we don't need to concern ourselves with the extra SOAP elements or the schema callouts in the SOAP elements, thanks to the SOAP XPath helper. The last example we'll take a look at is iterating over the XML elements. In this case, we'll come down to our dynamic response templating directives here, and we'll be using an each helper. And as part of the each, we'll target the XPath. Looking at the request body, we're going to pull out all of the elements that are under stuff/thing. And for each one of those, as WireMock Cloud iterates over them, we'll call it an element. For each element, we're going to print out the element.text, and then we'll also print out the element's attributes. So element.attributes.id and element.attributes.color. Grab my sample request body, and we'll use that in the test requester. Paste that here, hit send, and here we can see using that each handlebar helper as well as the XPath, combining those together, we're able to extract not only the element text, but also the attributes for each one of those elements. As you've just seen, WireMock Cloud makes it easy to make dynamic stubs by using XPath and handlebar helpers to reuse elements from the XML request bodies in the response bodies. Try it yourself with a free forever account at wiremock.io.